The fluorescent lights of Chicago Memorial's pediatric ward flickered at 2:47 a.m., casting shadows that made everything look sicker than it already was. I'd been on my feet for 11 hours, and my shift didn't end for another 5. The coffee I'd gulped down at midnight had long since worn off, leaving behind only the jittery aftermath and a headache that pulsed behind my eyes. "Nurse Hayes?" "Doctor." Morrison's voice crackled through my pager. "Room 304 needs vitals checked. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you." I acknowledged the page and grabbed my equipment, moving on autopilot through hallways I could navigate blindfolded. 6 years as a pediatric nurse had taught me to function on minimal sleep, maximum coffee, and the kind of determination that came from having a 6-year-old son waiting for me at home. Liam. God, I missed him. My mom had. Him tonight, like she did every night I worked the graveyard shift. He'd be asleep now, curled up with that ratty stuffed dinosaur he refused to let me wash. Tomorrow, technically today, we had exactly 4 hours together before I had to sleep, wake up, and do this all over again. The double shift life wasn't what I'd imagined when I'd graduated nursing school 7 years ago, back when Liam's father was still around and promising to support us while I built my career. Back before he decided fatherhood was too much pressure and disappeared to California with a girl he'd met at a bar. I pushed open the door to 304, forcing my exhausted face into something resembling a warm smile. The next morning, I stood in the checkout line at Fletcher's Market with Liam bouncing beside me, his small hand gripping a box of his favorite cereal like it might escape. "Can we get the dinosaur fruit snacks too, Mom? Please?" I glanced at the price tag and did the mental math I'd become an expert at. Rent was due in 5 days. The electric bill was already past due. Liam's winter coat from last year barely fit anymore, and Chicago winters didn't care about tight budgets. "How about we get the regular fruit snacks this time? They're just as good." Liam's face fell in that particular way 6-year-olds have mastered, the look that made my chest ache because I knew he was already learning to expect disappointment. "Okay, Mom." I hated that he didn't argue. Hated that at 6 years old, my son was already understanding that "we can't afford it" was a permanent condition rather than a temporary setback. The cashier rang up our modest groceries: pasta, sauce, chicken breasts on sale, the cheapest vegetables, Liam's cereal, and regular fruit snacks. $43.18. I handed over my debit card and prayed the transaction would go through. It did. Barely. "Mom, can we go to the park?" Liam asked as we walked toward the bus stop, his small legs working double time to keep up with my pace. I checked my phone. 10:30 a.m. I had to be back at the hospital by 7 p.m. for another night shift. That gave me approximately 5 hours to sleep if I wanted to function like a human being. 30 minutes at the park. I compromised, watching his entire face light up like I'd just promised him Disney World. This was motherhood. Not the Instagram version with perfectly styled nurseries and organic everything. This was the brutal, beautiful reality of loving someone so much that you'd sacrifice sleep, savings, and your own needs just to see them smile. Lincoln Park was unusually crowded for a Wednesday morning. I found a bench in the shade while Liam raced toward the swings, his secondhand sneakers kicking up wood chips. I should have been sleeping. But watching him really play, without worry creasing, his little forehead felt more restorative than any nap. I was checking my phone, scrolling through the depressing balance in my checking account, when I heard it. "I don't want to. Leave me alone." My head snapped up. Near the climbing structure, a boy maybe 8 or 9 stood rigid, his face flushed with anger or fear or both. A well-dressed woman, probably a nanny, hovered nearby, her hands reaching toward him in a gesture that looked more controlling than comforting. "Nico," your uncle said. "I don't care what he said. I hate you, I hate him, I want my mom." The boy's voice cracked on that last word, and something in my chest cracked with it. That wasn't just a tantrum, that was grief. I shouldn't have gotten involved. I had exactly 4 hours and 20 minutes before I needed to be unconscious in my bed. This wasn't my business. But I was already standing, already moving toward them, because I was a pediatric nurse and a mother, and I knew the sound of a child breaking from the inside out. "Hey," I said softly, approaching slowly, like I would with a scared patient. "Is everything okay here?" The nanny's eyes widened with something like relief mixed with fear. "I'm so sorry. We're fine. I'm not talking to you," I said gently but firmly, then crouched down to the boy's level, still maintaining distance. "I'm Emma. What's your name?" The boy Nico stared at me with dark eyes that held too much pain for someone so young. Why do you care? Because I'm a nurse, and I know what it looks like when someone's hurting. Not body hurt, heart hurt. His lower lip trembled. Nobody can fix heart hurt. You're right, I admitted, and his eyes widened slightly like he'd expected me to lie. Heart hurt is the worst kind. It doesn't have a band-aid. But you know what does help? What? Talking to someone who gets it. And swinging really high until you feel like you might touch the sky. The ghost of a smile flickered across his face. There and gone. That's dumb. Super dumb, I agreed. Want to try anyway? He hesitated, glancing at the nanny, who looked like she might cry from sheer relief. I'll stay right here on this bench where she can see us, I promised. And if you want me to go away, just say so and I will. Deal? Nico considered this with the seriousness of someone much older, then nodded once. We walked to the swings in silence. I took the one beside him, and for a few minutes, we just swung. The rhythmic motion, somehow soothing even without words. My mom and dad died, Nico said suddenly, his voice flat. Car accident. 3 months ago. My heart seized. I'm so sorry, Nico. Everyone says that. Sorry. But they don't bring them back. No. I agreed quietly. They don't. My uncle took me in. Nico's swing slowed. He's trying. But he doesn't know what to do with me. And I don't know how to be without them. I understood, probably more than he knew. Not the loss of parents, I couldn't imagine that depth of grief, but the feeling of being adrift. Of having life completely rearranged without your permission. Your uncle loves you, I said, carefully. Sometimes grown-ups don't know the right words or the right way to help. But if he took you in, he loves you. How do you know? Because love isn't always loud or perfect. Sometimes it's quiet and messy and scared. But it shows up anyway. Nico was quiet for a long moment. Then, do you have kids? I do. A son about your age. His name is Liam. Does he have a dad? The question was so innocent, so direct, that it caught me off guard. Not anymore. His dad left when Liam was a baby. That sucks. Yeah. I laughed despite myself. It really does. Mom! Liam's voice called from across the playground. Watch me go down the slide backward. I waved at him, my heart simultaneously full and aching. That's him, the daredevil over there. Nico watched Liam, with something like longing. He looks happy. He is, most of the time. But he has sad days too. Days where he asks about his dad and I don't have good answers. I looked at Nico directly. It's okay to have sad days, Nico. You don't have to be brave all the time. His eyes filled with tears he refused to let fall. My uncle wants me to be okay. Everyone does. They look at me like they're waiting for me to break. Then they don't understand grief, I said softly. You're not broken, Nico. You're surviving something impossibly hard. That takes more strength than most people have. A tear escaped, sliding down his cheek. He wiped it away angrily. Can I tell you a secret? I asked. He nodded. It's okay to cry. Tears don't make you weak. They make you human. That broke something loose in him. Not a sob, just a quiet release of tension. A few more tears that he didn't try to hide this time. We swung in silence for a while longer, and gradually, his breathing steadied. Thank you, he said finally, so quietly I almost missed it. Anytime, Nico. The nanny approached cautiously. Nico, we should go. Your uncle will worry. Nico nodded, climbing off the swing. He hesitated, then looked back at me. Will you be here tomorrow? I thought about my scheduled night shift tonight, another one tomorrow night. Probably not tomorrow. But maybe Saturday? Okay. He seemed to accept this, then surprised me by adding, You're nice. Not fake nice. Real nice. You're pretty great yourself, kid. He almost smiled, then followed the nanny toward a black car parked on the street. I watched them go, something tugging at my chest. If you find this story engaging, please take a moment to subscribe and enable notifications. It helps us continue producing in-depth content like this. Mom, who was that? Liam appeared at my elbow, breathless from playing. Just a boy who needed someone to talk to. Was he sad? Very sad, baby. Liam processed this with the straightforward empathy of childhood. Did you make him feel better? I hope so. You're good at that. Liam said matter-of-factly, taking my hand. Making people feel better, that's your superpower. I squeezed his hand, thinking that if I had any superpower at all, it was loving this boy enough to keep going, even when exhausted and broke and scared about the future. Come on, superhero, I said. Let's go home. I didn't think about Nico again until Saturday, when Liam and I returned to the park. I'd managed to get 2 days off in a row, a miracle in itself, and I'd promised Liam we could spend the whole morning together. He was on the monkey bars when I saw them. Nico sat on the same swing as before, moving slowly back and forth, his posture radiating the same grief-heavy exhaustion I'd seen on Wednesday. But this time, he wasn't alone. A man stood near the swing set, tall and broad-shouldered, wearing dark jeans and a fitted black t-shirt that did nothing to hide the powerful build beneath. Even from a distance, he radiated a kind of controlled intensity that made people unconsciously give him space. His dark hair was styled with casual perfection, and even though I couldn't see his face clearly yet, something about his presence commanded attention. He was watching Nico with an expression that managed to be both protective and helpless, like he wanted desperately to fix something he didn't know how to repair. Nico spotted me first. His face lit up in a way that made my heart squeeze. "Emma," he waved frantically. "You came." The man's attention snapped to me immediately, his dark eyes sharp and assessing. In 2 seconds, I felt completely catalogued, noted, and filed away in whatever mental database he maintained. I approached slowly, aware of his scrutiny. "Hi, Nico. How are you doing?" "Better. Worse. I don't know." He shrugged with devastating honesty. "Uncle Dante took me to therapy on Thursday. The lady was nice, but she asked too many questions." "Therapy is hard," I agreed. "But it helps. Eventually." The man Dante stepped forward, and I realized I'd severely underestimated his presence. Up close, he was almost overwhelming. Not just handsome, though he was devastatingly so, but powerful in a way that had nothing to do with physical size. This was someone used to control, to command, to getting exactly what he wanted. "You're Emma." His voice was deep, measured, with the faintest trace of an accent I couldn't place. "The nurse from Wednesday." It wasn't a question. "I am." "And you're Nico's uncle, Dante Moretti." He extended a hand, and when I shook it, his grip was firm, warm, and held just a second longer than strictly necessary. "Teresa told me what you did for Nico, how you talked him down when he was." He glanced at his nephew, choosing his words carefully. "Struggling. I didn't do anything special. Just listened." "You did more than that." Dante's eyes were intense, almost uncomfortably so. "He's talked about you every day since. The nice nurse lady who didn't lie to me. That's high praise from Nico lately." I felt heat creep up my neck. "He's a great kid going through something terrible. Sometimes people just need someone to see them." "Most people don't see him," Dante said quietly. "They see the tragedy, the orphan, the broken child who needs fixing." His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "You saw him as a person." Before I could respond, Liam bounded over, his face flushed from playing. "Mom, can I have my water bottle?" Then he noticed Nico and lit up with the easy friendliness of children. "Hi, I'm Liam. Wanna play?" Nico glanced at Dante, who nodded. "Go ahead." The boys raced off together toward the climbing structure, and suddenly I was alone with Dante Moretti, whose presence seemed to fill all the space around us. "Your son?" he asked. "Yes, Liam. He's 6, same age gap as Nico and I." A ghost of a smile touched Dante's lips. "Though technically Nico is my nephew, my sister's son. I'm sorry for your loss." His expression shuddered. "Teresa said you mentioned you're a pediatric nurse. At Chicago Memorial, mostly night shifts. That must be exhausting. Single mother, night shifts." Again, it wasn't a question. He already knew. I stiffened slightly. "I manage. I'm sure you do." His tone wasn't condescending, but there was something underneath it I couldn't quite read. "Nico asked if you'd be here today. I almost didn't bring him because I assumed you were just being polite when you said maybe Saturday. I don't lie to kids. If I say maybe, I mean maybe." "I'm learning that." Dante's eyes tracked the boys as they played, his vigilance never quite relaxing. "He needs more people like you in his life. People who tell him the truth instead of pretty stories about how everything will be okay." "Everything will be okay," I said. "Eventually, just not in the way people expect." Dante looked at me then, really looked at me, and I felt the weight of his full attention like a physical thing. You believe that? I have to. Otherwise, what's the point? Something flickered in his expression, surprise, maybe, or recognition. Most people in my life don't have that kind of optimism. What kind of life do you have? It was too bold, too direct. I realized it the second the words left my mouth. But instead of shutting down or deflecting, Dante's lips curved into something that might have been a smile. The complicated kind. Before I could respond, the boys came running back, Liam practically vibrating with excitement. Mom! Mom! Nico knows like a million cool facts about dinosaurs. He's like super smart. Nico flushed with pleasure. Liam's really fast. He beat me in 3 races. Mom, can Nico come over sometime? We could watch Jurassic Park. You'd love it, Nico. There's this scene where Liam, breathe. I laughed. Maybe we should ask Nico's uncle first. Both boys turned pleading eyes on Dante, who looked completely unprepared for this particular assault. Uncle Dante, please? Emma's nice and Liam's my friend and I never get to have friends over because… Nico stopped himself, but the end of that sentence hung heavy. Because you're afraid something will happen to me. Dante's jaw worked for a moment. Then he looked at me, and I saw the question in his eyes. Is this real? Are you real? Can I trust you with the only family I have left? My apartment is small, I said carefully, but clean and safe, and I'd be there the whole time. Mom makes the best grilled cheese, Liam added helpfully, and we have Legos. Lots of Legos, I confirmed. Dante was quiet for a long moment, and I could see the calculation happening behind his eyes. This was a man who didn't make decisions lightly, who weighed every variable, every risk. Finally, he nodded. When? Next Saturday, I suggested, if that works for you. Uncle Dante doesn't work on Saturdays, Nico said quickly, like he needed to close the deal before his uncle changed his mind. He promised he'd spend weekends with me. Then next Saturday, around 11, Dante pulled out his phone. Give me your number. I'll text you my contact information. I rattled off my number, trying not to think about the fact that I was giving my phone number to a man who made my pulse race in a way it hadn't since. Ever, actually. Liam's father had been charming and unreliable. Dante Moretti was something else entirely. My phone buzzed immediately. A text from an unknown number. Dante Moretti, Nico's uncle. Looking forward to Saturday. Got it, I confirmed. The boys were already making plans, talking over each other about dinosaurs and Legos and snacks. Dante watched them with an expression I recognized from my own mirror, exhausted gratitude that someone had made their child happy, even temporarily. Thank you, he said quietly, meant only for me. This is the most excited he's been since. I know, I said, saving him from finishing that sentence. We stood in companionable silence for a moment, watching the boys. Can I ask you something? Dante said. Sure. Why did you help him? On Wednesday. You didn't know him, didn't know me. You could have walked away. I thought about how to answer that. Because I'm a mother and a nurse. And because sometimes the universe puts someone in your path who needs exactly what you can give. Walking away from that feels wrong. Dante studied me with those intense dark eyes. You're not what I expected. What did you expect? Someone looking for an angle. Everyone has one in my world. He paused. But you don't, do you? I don't even know what your world is, I admitted. Something like relief crossed his face. There and gone so quickly I might have imagined it. Good. Let's keep it that way. Before I could ask what he meant, Liam called out. Mom, is it lunchtime yet? I'm starving. You're always starving, I laughed. Come on, we should head home. Nico, we have to go too, Dante said. You have your session with Dr. Chen this afternoon. Nico's face fell slightly, but he nodded. Okay. He turned to Liam. See you next Saturday? Definitely. We're gonna build the biggest Lego tower ever. The boys exchanged an elaborate handshake they'd apparently invented in the last hour. And then Dante was gently steering Nico toward the parking lot. He glanced back once, catching my eye, and something passed between us. Not attraction, exactly, though there was definitely that, but recognition. Two people doing their best for the children they loved, navigating complicated waters without a map. Mom, Liam said as we walked toward the bus stop. Is Nico's uncle your boyfriend? I nearly choked. What? No. Liam, I just met him. But he looked at you funny. Funny how? Like when you look at my mac and cheese. Like you really want it. I felt my cheeks burn. Liam, that's not where just Nico's uncle. Okay, Liam said, clearly unconvinced. Then, with the devastating innocence of 6-year-olds, but would it be okay if he was? Your boyfriend? Because Nico needs a mom, and I could use a dad, and Uncle Dante seems nice. My heart simultaneously melted and shattered. Baby, it doesn't work like that. Why not? Because life is complicated. Because I don't know anything about Dante Moretti except that he's clearly wealthy and powerful, and probably way out of my league. Because I'm a broke single mom who works night shifts and can barely keep the lights on, let alone navigate whatever complicated world he comes from. But I couldn't say any of that to my 6-year-old son who just wanted a family. Because people need to know each other first. Be friends. See if they fit together. You fit together, Liam said with absolute certainty. I could tell. I didn't have an answer for that. That night, after Liam was asleep, I looked at Dante's contact in my phone. No photo, just his name. I found myself Googling Dante Moretti Chicago. The results made my blood run cold. Dante Moretti, alleged head of the Moretti crime family, connection to multiple investigations. Suspected involvement in organized crime, though never charged. Son of the late Giovanni Moretti, one of Chicago's most notorious mob bosses. I stared at my phone screen, my heart pounding. I'd invited a Mafia boss into my home. More importantly, I'd let my son befriend his nephew. The smart thing, the safe thing, would be to text him right now and cancel. Make up an excuse. Block his number. Forget this ever happened. But then I thought about Nico's face when he'd talked about his parents. The raw grief I'd seen in Dante's eyes when he watched his nephew struggle. These weren't just criminals. They were a family trying to survive loss. My phone buzzed. A text from Dante. Thank you again for today. Nico hasn't stopped talking about Liam. It's the first time since the funeral that he's seemed excited about the future instead of trapped in the past. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed, "See you Saturday." His response came immediately, counting on it. I set my phone down, my hands shaking slightly. What had I just gotten myself into? The week leading up to Saturday felt like the longest of my life. Every spare moment I had, my brain spiraled through the same questions. What was I doing? Why hadn't I canceled? What kind of mother knowingly invites a mob boss into her home? But every time I reached for my phone to text some excuse, I thought about Nico's face lighting up at the park, the way Liam had talked about his new friend every single day. Mom, do you think Nico likes Star Wars? Should we make cookies for Saturday? What if we built a dinosaur instead of a tower? And I thought about Dante's eyes when he'd looked at me not with the predatory interest I'd gotten used to deflecting from men at bars or the hospital, but with something that felt like relief, like he'd been drowning and I'd thrown him a rope without realizing it. Tuesday night, midway through my shift, I got a text from an unknown number. "This is Teresa, Nico's nanny. Mr. Moretti asked me to reach out. Nico has dietary restrictions, no dairy, allergic to tree nuts. I'm sending a list. Also, Mr. Moretti wanted me to inform you that his driver will bring Nico on Saturday and remain nearby during the visit for security purposes. I hope this is acceptable." I stared at the message. Security purposes. Right. Because normal kids needed armed drivers for playdates. I typed back, "No dairy, no tree nuts. Got it. The driver can wait in his car outside if he'd like. My apartment complex isn't fancy, but it's safe." Her response came quickly. "Thank you for understanding." Nico is very excited. Wednesday brought another text, this time from Dante himself. "Teresa said you approved the security arrangement. I appreciate your flexibility. I know this situation is unusual." I debated how to respond, finally settling on honesty. "I Googled you. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally. And I'm still saying yes to Saturday. But I need to know, is Nico safe? Am I putting my son in danger by letting them be friends?" The response took longer this time. When it came, I could feel the weight behind the words. "Nico is the most protected person in Chicago. Anyone who wanted to hurt him would have to go through me first, and I promise you, Emma, they wouldn't succeed. Your son is safe. You're safe. I would never bring danger to your door." I believed him. God help me, I believed him. Okay. Saturday at 11. I'll be there too, if that's acceptable. My heart did something complicated in my chest. Of course. Good. That was it. But I stared at that single word for longer than I should have, reading things into it that probably weren't there. You're smiling at your phone like a teenager, my coworker Rachel said, appearing at my elbow. Please tell me you finally downloaded a dating app. What? No. It's just... I fumbled to lock my screen. A friend. A friend who makes you blush like that? Honey, that's not a friend. That's trouble. She grinned. Good trouble, I hope? I don't know what it is yet. Well, whoever he is, he's got you looking more alive than you have in months. I'm counting that as a win. Friday night, I deep cleaned my apartment with the manic energy of someone who knows a wealthy person is about to see exactly how far their money doesn't stretch. I scrubbed the bathroom tile grout with a toothbrush. I organized Liam's toys into bins. I vacuumed 3 times. Mom, why are you acting weird? Liam asked, watching me rearrange the living room furniture for the 4th time. I'm not acting weird. You cleaned under the couch. You never clean under the couch. I'm just making sure everything looks nice for your new friend. Nico won't care what our house looks like. His uncle might. Liam's eyes widened with understanding beyond his years. You like Uncle Dante. I don't, that's not... I sighed, sitting down on the couch I'd just vacuumed. Come here, baby. Liam climbed up beside me, his small body warm against my side. I need to tell you something, I said carefully. Nico's uncle is different from most people we know. He's very wealthy, very powerful, and his life is complicated in ways I don't fully understand yet. Is he a bad guy? The question was so direct, so important, that I took my time answering. I don't think so, but he lives in a world that has different rules than ours. Do you understand? Like in movies, where the hero has to do bad things sometimes to protect people? I shouldn't have let him watch so many Marvel movies. Something like that, yeah. So he's like Batman? I couldn't help laughing. Maybe. But Liam, I need you to promise me something. If anything ever feels wrong or scary when we're around Nico and his uncle, you tell me immediately, okay? Okay, Mom. He hugged me tight. But I don't think Uncle Dante is scary. I think he's sad, like Nico. They need people to make them happy again. Sometimes I forgot how perceptive my son was, how much he saw that I tried to shield him from. You're a pretty smart kid, you know that? I learned it from you. Saturday morning arrived with the kind of perfect autumn weather that made Chicago almost forgive you for its brutal winters. Liam was up at 7 bouncing, off the walls with excitement. Is it time yet? Are they here yet? Can I wear my dinosaur shirt? It's only 7. They won't be here for 4 more hours. Yes, you can wear your dinosaur shirt. And please eat your breakfast before you vibrate through the floor. I'd made my famous grilled cheese ingredients, good cheese, real butter, the fancy bread I usually couldn't justify buying. I'd stocked up on juice boxes and dairy-free snacks for Nico. I'd even bought fresh flowers for the table, a luxury that had made my checking account weep. At 10:45, I changed my outfit for the 3rd time. The first was 2 casual yoga pants and an old Northwestern t-shirt. The second was trying too hard a dress I'd worn to a cousin's wedding 3 years ago. I finally settled on dark jeans and a simple green sweater that Liam said made my eyes look pretty. You look beautiful, Mom, he said seriously. Uncle Dante will think so too. Liam, this isn't about, but he was already racing to the Empress window, watching for their arrival. At precisely 11 a.m., a sleek black SUV pulled up outside our building. It looked impossibly expensive next to the beat-up cars and rusted sedans that usually lined our street. Liam pressed his face to the window. They're here! My heart started hammering. This was insane. This was a terrible idea. The knock on the door was firm but not aggressive. I opened it to find Dante Moretti standing in my doorway, and the sight of him stole whatever coherent thought I'd been forming. He wore dark jeans and a charcoal Henley that somehow looked both casual and expensive. His dark hair was slightly mussed like he'd run his hands through it, and his eyes, those intense dark eyes, immediately found mine and held. Emma. God. The way he said my name, like it was important, like it mattered. Dante, come in. He stepped inside, and my modest apartment immediately felt smaller, warmer, more alive with his presence. Nico bounded in behind him, his face lit with excitement. Emma! Liam! I brought Legos. Uncle Dante bought me a new set and I thought we could build it together. That's awesome. Liam appeared, grabbing Nico's hand. Come see my room. I have a whole dinosaur collection. The boys disappeared down the hall, leaving me alone with Dante in my tiny living room. He looked around, and I braced myself for judgment, for the inevitable comparison between his world and mine. The second-hand furniture, the scuffed floors, the water stain on the ceiling I couldn't afford to fix. This is nice, he said quietly. It feels like a home. It's small. It's lived in, loved in. That's worth more than square footage. His eyes found mine again. Thank you for having us. Of course. I made grilled cheese for lunch. And I have dairy-free options for Nico. You didn't have to go to that trouble. It's not trouble. It's lunch. Something flickered in his expression, that same relief I'd seen at the park, like he'd been bracing for, something that didn't come. Can I help? You want to help cook? I'm not completely useless in a kitchen. I gestured toward the small galley kitchen. In that case, you can butter the bread while I slice cheese. We moved around each other in the cramped space, and I was acutely aware of every time his arm brushed mine, every moment our hands nearly touched. He moved with confidence, economical and precise, like someone who'd learned to cook by necessity rather than hobby. You weren't lying about the kitchen skills, I observed as he efficiently buttered perfectly even slices. My mother died when I was 12. My father was. Not domestic. It was learn to cook or starve. The casual mention of tragedy made my chest ache. I'm sorry. It was a long time ago. He set down the knife, but it taught me that survival sometimes means learning skills you never expected to need, like cooking grilled cheese, among other things. His lips curved in something that might have been a smile. What about you? How did you learn to make the famous grilled cheese Liam won't stop talking about? My mom, she worked 3 jobs after my dad left, so I learned to cook early. Grilled cheese was the first thing I mastered that didn't come from a box. Your father left? When I was 8, decided family life wasn't for him. I focused very hard on slicing cheese, so I guess Liam comes by it honestly. Apparently, Hayes men have a pattern of walking away. Their loss, Dante said quietly, and the certainty in his voice made me look up. You don't even know me. I know enough. I know you work double shifts to provide for your son. I know you stopped to help a grieving child in a park when you had every reason to keep walking. I know you're standing here making dairy-free snacks for a kid you just met because you don't do anything halfway. His eyes held mine. I know that any man who walked away from you is a fool. Heat flooded my face. You don't have to say things like that. I don't say things I don't mean, Emma. The kitchen felt approximately 10,000 degrees warmer. The griddle. I managed. We should start cooking. We worked in charged silence, assembling sandwiches. Dante moved with surprising ease in my tiny kitchen, anticipating what I needed before I asked. It felt domestic in a way that was both comfortable and terrifying. Can I ask you something? I said as I flipped the first sandwich. Of course. The articles I read about you, are they true? He was quiet for a long moment. Some of them, not all. The part about organized crime? Yes. The simple honesty of it was almost more unsettling than if he'd lied. Should that scare me? Probably. He leaned against the counter, studying me. But I told you before I would never bring danger to your door. Whatever I do, whoever I am in my world, that stays separate from this, from you and Liam. Can you really make that guarantee? I can, and I have. He paused. The driver outside? His name is Marcus. There are 2 more men in a car at each end of your block. No one comes near this building that I don't know about. My breath caught. You've had men watching my building? Since the moment I got your address. Before, actually since I had Teresa text you. He didn't look apologetic. I told you Nico is protected. That protection extends to anyone who matters to him. And Emma, you matter to him. I should have been angry, violated, scared. Instead, I felt safe, which was probably the most dangerous thing of all. How long do they stay? As long as you're in Nico's life. That's excessive. That's necessary. My world has rules, Emma. One of them is that we protect our own. Another is that enemies look for weaknesses. Nico cares about your son. That makes Liam a potential target. Ice flooded my veins. You're saying my son is in danger because he's friends with Nico? I'm saying he's protected because he's friends with Nico. Dante's expression was serious, almost grim. The threat was always there the moment Nico talked about Liam to anyone in my house, the moment they were seen together at the park. I'm just making sure the protection is in place before anything can happen. This is insane. This isn't, I'm just a nurse. We're just normal people. You stopped being just anything the moment you showed kindness to my nephew. He stepped closer, and I could smell his cologne, something expensive and woody that made my brain short-circuit. I know this is a lot. I know it's not what you signed up for, but Emma, I'm asking you to trust me. Trust that I know how to keep you safe. Why? The question came out raw. Why does it matter so much to you? You barely know us. Because Nico lost everything. His parents, his home, his sense of safety in the world. And then he met your son, and for the first time since the funeral, he laughed. He planned for tomorrow instead of drowning in yesterday. Dante's voice dropped. That's worth everything to me. Protecting that is worth everything. I understood that. God, did I understand that? The things we'd do for the children we loved, the lines we'd cross, the prices we'd pay. Okay, I whispered. Okay? Okay, I trust you. Something in his expression softened. Thank you. The boys came racing back, breaking the moment. Mom, we built a spaceship. Come see. Lunch was chaotic and perfect. The boys talked over each other about their creations, their plans, their favorite movies. Nico ate 3 grilled cheese sandwiches and declared them better than anything his chef made at home. Liam glowed with pride. And Dante? Dante watched all of it with an expression that made my heart hurt. He looked at Nico like he was witnessing a miracle, like he'd been certain his nephew would never be happy again, and here was proof that he could be. After lunch, the boys settled in to build an elaborate Lego city while I cleaned up the kitchen. Dante helped, without asking, rinsing plates and loading them into my ancient dishwasher. You're good with them, I observed. I'm trying. It's not natural to me, the parenting thing. I wasn't meant to be a father. But you are one now. To Nico. Legally, I'm his guardian. Emotionally. He trailed off, staring at the soapy water. I don't know what I am. I want to be enough for him. I'm terrified I'm not. The vulnerability in that admission cracked something open in my chest. You're showing up. You're trying. That's more than a lot of biological parents do. Is it enough? Ask me in 20 years. I dried my hands on a towel. But Dante, for what it's worth, I see how he looks at you. He feels safe with you. That's not nothing. He feels safe with you too, more than he does with me, I think. I'm non-threatening. I'm not grieving the same loss he is. It's more than that. Dante turned to face me fully. You have something I don't, this natural warmth, this ability to make people feel seen. Nico needs that. He needs you. I'm happy to be his friend. To be someone he can talk to. I want to pay you. I nearly dropped the dish I was holding. What? For your time, your care, for what you're giving, Nico. Anger flashed hot and sudden. I'm not doing this for money. I know that. But Emma, you're working double shifts to survive. You're exhausted. Let me help. By turning me into an employee? No. That's not... I shook my head. I like Nico. I like spending time with him. If you try to pay me, you make this transactional. You make it fake. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? He ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident. I meant that I have resources you need, and you have something my nephew desperately needs. That's not an insult. That's just reality. The reality is that friendship isn't for sale. I crossed my arms. You want to help? Fine. But not like that. Then how? I thought about the electric bill sitting on my counter. The notice from my landlord about rent increases. Liam's shoes that were already getting too small. I don't know yet, but not as payment for caring about Nico. That's a line I won't cross. Dante studied me for a long moment, then nodded slowly. All right. I respect that. Thank you. But Emma, the offer stands. Not as payment, as a friend helping a friend. If you need anything at all, you ask me. Why would you do that? Because watching Nico laugh is the first time I've felt hope since my sister died. Because you gave that to me without asking for anything in return. Because, he hesitated, something vulnerable flickering across his face. Because I want to. The boys called us back to the living room to see their completed Lego city. We spent the next hour playing an elaborate game involving dinosaurs, spaceships, and a plotline only 6 and 8-year-olds could follow. Dante participated with surprising enthusiasm, his deep voice providing commentary for the Lego figurines. At one point, Liam climbed into my lap, watching Nico and Dante act out a scene. He tilted his head back to whisper in my ear, "Mom, I really like Uncle Dante. Is he your boyfriend yet?" I nearly choked. Liam, no, we talked about this. But Dante had heard. His eyes met mine across the Lego city, and something in them made my pulse race. "Yeah, Uncle Dante," Nico piped up, innocent and oblivious. "Are you Emma's boyfriend? Because that would be cool. Then Liam and I could be like brothers." Dante's expression was carefully controlled, but I saw the moment he made a decision. Something shifted in his eyes, a choice made, a line crossed. "Would that be okay with you?" Dante asked Nico directly. "If Emma and I dated?" My heart stopped. Nico's face lit up. "Really? You mean it?" "I'm asking Emma." Dante's gaze returned to me, intense and unwavering. "Emma, would you have dinner with me? Without the kids. Just us." This was insane. This was moving too fast. This was say, "Yes, Mom," Liam whispered, and there was so much hope in his voice. I looked at Dante, at this complicated, dangerous, surprisingly tender man who'd somehow walked into my life and made everything feel simultaneously more terrifying and more right. "Yes," I heard myself say. "I'd like that." Nico cheered. Liam hugged me tight. And Dante smiled a real, genuine smile that transformed his entire face into something devastating. "Wednesday night," he said. "I'll pick you up at 7. I work Wednesday night. Then I'll have Teresa call your supervisor and request you take the night off. You can't just—" "I can, and I will." His smile widened slightly. "Is that acceptable?" No. It was high-handed and presumptuous and absolutely the kind of thing that should have made me angry. "Acceptable?" I agreed, and told myself I was just doing this to make the boys happy. I was lying, of course. Later that evening, after Dante and Nico had left with promises to do this again next week, Liam helped me clean up the Legos. "Mom, did Uncle Dante really just become your boyfriend?" "I don't know what he is, baby, but I'm going to find out." "Good," Liam yawned, exhaustion from the exciting day finally catching up. "Because you deserve someone who looks at you like you're important. And Uncle Dante looks at you like you're the most important person in the whole world." Sometimes my 6-year-old was wise beyond his years. That night, after Liam was asleep, my phone buzzed with a text from Dante. "Thank you for today. Nico fell asleep in the car on the way home the first time he slept peacefully in the vehicle since the accident. You did that." I smiled at my phone like a teenager. "He's a great kid. So is his uncle. His uncle is taking you to Michelin star restaurant on Wednesday. Dress accordingly." "I don't own anything appropriate for a Michelin star restaurant." "Then I'm sending a stylist tomorrow." "Don't argue. Dante, Emma, let me do this. Please." I thought about refusing, about maintaining boundaries and independence. Then I thought about the look in Dante's eyes when he'd asked me to dinner, the vulnerability beneath the confidence. "Okay, but nothing too expensive. Everything I own is expensive." "You'll have to be more specific. Nothing that costs more than my rent." "That's still not very specific." I laughed out loud. "Dante. Fine. Nothing outrageous. Just beautiful. Like you." Heat flooded my face. Smooth. I'm Italian. It comes naturally. "Good night, Emma. Good night, Dante." I set my phone down, my heart racing. Wednesday suddenly felt very far away and much too close. Tuesday afternoon, a woman named Valentina arrived at my apartment with enough clothing to outfit a small boutique. She was elegant and efficient, with an eye for fit that was almost supernatural. "Mr. Moretti described your coloring perfectly," she said, holding up a deep emerald dress against me. "This will be stunning." "How much does this cost?" "Mr. Moretti has an account. Don't worry. About cost. That's not how I operate." Valentina smiled gently. "Mr. Moretti said you'd say that. He asked me to tell you that he considers this an investment in his own happiness. If you're worried about cost on your first date, you won't enjoy yourself. And if you don't enjoy yourself, he won't enjoy himself. Therefore, the dress is actually for him." I couldn't help laughing. That's the most convoluted logic I've ever heard. Italian men are complicated. She winked. but also very good at getting what they want. We settled on a dress that was elegant without being flashy, deep green silk that somehow made my eyes look brighter, my skin glow. Valentina also provided shoes, a clutch, and jewelry that she swore was costume but looked suspiciously real. "You're beautiful," she said when I was fully dressed. "But you were beautiful before the clothes." Mr. Moretti sees that. These are just packaging. Wednesday night arrived with Chicago weather that couldn't decide between autumn and winter. I'd arranged for my mom to watch Liam, telling her I had a date but not explaining with whom. A date? She'd practically squealed. "Emma, that's wonderful. Do I know him?" "No. And I'd like to keep it quiet until I figure out what this is." "That serious?" "That complicated." At 6:45, I was pacing my apartment, checking my reflection for the 100th time. The dress fit perfectly. My hair cooperated for once, falling in soft waves. My makeup was subtle but polished. I looked like someone who belonged in Dante Moretti's world. The thought was both thrilling and terrifying. At precisely 7, a knock on my door. I opened it to find Dante in a tailored charcoal suit that probably cost more than my car if I'd had a car. His dark eyes swept over me, and the heat in them made my knees weak. "Emma." His voice was rough. "You're breathtaking. You clean up nice yourself. May I come in for a moment?" I stepped aside, and he entered my small apartment. But instead of heading toward the door, he stopped, turned, and closed the distance between us until we were standing close enough that I could feel the heat of him. "I need to tell you something before we go," he said quietly. My heart hammered. "Okay. I don't do this. Dating, relationships. My life doesn't allow for complications." His eyes held mine. "But Emma, you're not a complication. You're necessary. To Nico, yes, but also to me. Dante." "Let me finish." He reached up, his fingers brushing my cheek with devastating gentleness. "I can't promise this will be easy. I can't promise my world won't touch yours in ways you won't like. But I can promise that I will protect you with everything I have, that I will be honest with you, even when the truth is ugly, and that every moment we have together, I will make sure you know how extraordinary I think you are." Tears pricked my eyes. That's a hell of an opening speech. Is it working? Maybe. His lips curved. "Then let's go to dinner, and I'll see if I can improve my odds." The restaurant was everything I'd feared and nothing I'd expected. Yes, it was intimidatingly elegant, all soft lighting and hushed conversations and wine lists thicker than novels. But Dante navigated it with easy confidence, his hand at the small of my back as he guided me to a private table in the corner. "I took the liberty of ordering wine," he said as we sat. "But if you'd prefer something else, wine is perfect." The waiter appeared with a bottle that probably cost more than my weekly groceries. I tried not to think about it. "So," Dante said when we were alone, "tell me about Emma Hayes. Not the nurse, not the mother, just Emma. I don't know if there is a just Emma anymore. Those other parts kind of consumed everything else. Try anyway." So I did. I told him about wanting to be a marine biologist when I was Liam's age, about my love of old movies and terrible reality TV, about the way I collected quotes in a notebook but never did anything with them. And he listened, really listened, like every word mattered, like I was the most fascinating person he'd ever met. "Your turn," I said finally. "Tell me about Dante Moretti. Not the," I hesitated, "not the crime boss?" He smiled wryly. "It's all right, Emma. We both know what I am." "Then tell me how you became that." His expression sobered. "Legacy. My father built an empire, and when he died, I inherited it. I was 22, barely knew what I was doing, but the family needed a leader, and I was a Moretti, so I learned. Do you ever wish you could walk away? Every day. And never." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "What I do isn't legal. It's often not moral by conventional standards. But Emma, I protect people. Hundreds of families depend on my organization for their livelihood. They trust me to keep them safe, to make sure they can feed their children. That means something. Even if the methods are questionable, especially because the methods are questionable. The legal world doesn't care about people like us, immigrants, working class, those without connections. So we built our own system, our own rules." His eyes held mine. "I know what you're thinking, that it's rationalization. Maybe it is. But it's also true. I thought about my own experiences with systems that didn't work. The hospital billing department that had hounded my mom during her cancer treatment. The landlords who raised rent while letting buildings fall apart. The employers who cut hours to avoid providing benefits. I'm not judging you, I said quietly. You should be. Why? Because your solutions are illegal? Dante, I watch people die because they can't afford insulin. I see families destroyed by medical debt. The legal system isn't exactly pure. Something flickered in his eyes. You're remarkable. You know that? I'm practical. You're both. Dinner was incredible. Course after course of food I couldn't pronounce, but that tasted like heaven. We talked about everything and nothing. He told me about Nico's progress in therapy, about the art collection his sister had left behind, about his futile attempts to learn to braid hair for the niece he'd briefly cared for before she'd gone to live with her maternal grandparents. I told him about Liam's obsession with dinosaurs, about my mother's terrible singing voice that she inflicted on everyone anyway, about the way I still slept on one side of the bed even though no one had shared it in years. Somewhere between the main course and dessert, his hand found mine across the table. The touch was electric, sending heat racing up my arm and settling in my chest. I need to ask you something, he said. And I need you to answer honestly. Okay. Are you afraid of me? The question caught me off guard. Sometimes, but not in the way you probably think. What way then? I'm afraid of how much I like being around you. I'm afraid that I'm making terrible decisions because you make me feel things I haven't felt in years, maybe ever. I met his eyes. I'm afraid that when this ends, because complicated things always end, it's going to break something in me I can't fix. What if it doesn't end? Things always end, Dante. Not always. His thumb traced circles on my palm. Emma, I'm not walking away from this. From you. I told you you're necessary. That doesn't have an expiration date. You barely know me. I know enough. I know you stop to help crying children in parks. I know you work yourself to exhaustion to provide for your son. I know you make the best grilled cheese in Chicago and you hum when you're concentrating. His smile was soft. I know that when you laugh, really laugh, your whole face lights up. And I know that I want to be the person who makes you laugh as often as possible. My throat was tight. That's a lot of pressure. Is it working? You keep asking me that. Because I need to know if I'm completely ruining this. You're not ruining anything. I turned my hand over, lacing my fingers through his. You're actually doing pretty well. Just pretty well? I don't want to inflate your ego. He laughed a real, unguarded laugh that made him look younger, lighter. Too late. My ego is enormous. I noticed. We lingered over dessert, neither of us wanting the night to end. But eventually, the restaurant began to empty, and Dante reluctantly signaled for the check. Outside, his car waited. Marcus, the driver I'd met briefly, nodded respectfully as he opened the door. The drive back to my apartment felt too short. Dante held my hand in the darkened back seat, his thumb tracing patterns on my skin that made concentration impossible. Thank you for tonight, I said, as we pulled up to my building. Thank you for saying yes. Marcus opened my door, but Dante climbed out first, offering his hand. He walked me to my building's entrance, and we stood in the pool of light from the security lamp. I'd like to do this again, Dante said. Soon. I'd like that too. Saturday, after the boys have their playdate? I could take you to Dante, yes? Kiss me. His eyes darkened. Emma, if you don't kiss me right now, I'm going to assume you're not as interested as your speeches suggest. Not interested? He stepped closer, his hand cupping my face. Emma, I'm so interested it's taking every ounce of control I have not to. I stood on my toes and kissed him, cutting off whatever he was about to say. The kiss was soft at first, tentative, testing. Then his arm wrapped around my waist, pulling me closer. And the kiss deepened into something that made the rest of the world disappear. He tasted like wine and dessert, and something uniquely him that made my head spin. When we finally pulled apart, we were both breathing hard. Okay. I managed. That answered that question. Emma. His voice was rough. You're going to be the death of me. Is that a bad thing? It's the best thing that's happened to us. All me in years. He kissed me again, softer this time, almost reverent. Then he stepped back, his hand lingering on my cheek. Good night, Emma. Good night, Dante. I watched him return to the car, watched the taillights disappear down the street. Then I practically floated up to my apartment, where my mother was waiting with approximately 1,000,000 questions. "So?" she demanded the second I walked in. "How was it, Mom?" "Emma Grace Hayes, you have been dating exactly no one for 6 years. You come home looking like that, glowing like a teenager, and you expect me not to ask questions?" I couldn't help smiling. It was perfect. Tell me everything. So I did. Most of it, anyway. I left out the parts about organized crime and protection details. But I told her about the restaurant, the conversation, the way Dante made me feel seen in a way I hadn't experienced in years. "He sounds wonderful," my mom said. "When do I get to meet him?" "Soon. Maybe." I hesitated. "Mom, he's complicated." "Good men usually are, sweetheart." After she left, I checked on Liam, who was sleeping peacefully. I kissed his forehead, thinking about how much our lives had changed in just a few weeks. My phone buzzed. A text from Dante. "Thank you for the best night I've had in longer than I can remember. Sleep well, Emma." I smiled at my phone. "You too, Dante. One more thing." "Yes?" "I'm already counting down to Saturday." My heart did something complicated in my chest. Me too. I fell asleep that night thinking about dark eyes and gentle hands and a dangerous man who somehow made me feel safer than I had in years. What I didn't know, what I couldn't have known, was that while I was falling asleep, someone else was making plans. Someone who'd been watching, waiting, and Saturday was going to change everything. The days between Wednesday and Saturday felt like both an eternity and an instant. I worked my regular shifts at the hospital, but my mind kept drifting to dark eyes and devastating smiles, to the way Dante's hand had felt in mine, to the promise of Saturday. Liam noticed immediately. "Mom, you're humming again," he said Thursday morning over breakfast. "You only hum when you're happy." "I'm always happy, baby. Not like this. This is different, happy." He studied me with his two perceptive eyes. "It's because of Uncle Dante, isn't it?" I couldn't lie to him. "Yeah, it is. Good." He returned to his cereal with the matter settled. "He makes you smile. I like that." Friday night, I was 3 hours into my shift when my supervisor, Karen, pulled me aside. "Emma, can we talk in my office?" My stomach dropped. Those words were never good. I followed her down the hall, mentally cataloging what I might have done wrong. Was it the Henderson case? Had I charted incorrectly? Was this about my scheduling requests? Karen closed the door and gestured for me to sit. "I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me." "Okay. Are you involved with Dante Moretti?" The blood drained from my face. "How did you, Emma?" Her voice was gentle but firm. "A man like that doesn't call a hospital administrator requesting time off for a specific nurse without it becoming hospital gossip within hours. Add that to the fact that you've been glowing for days and people have noticed the SUV that drops you off some mornings." I closed my eyes. "It's new, very new, and it's complicated." "I'm sure it is." She leaned back in her chair. "I'm not here to judge your personal life. But Emma, I need you to understand something. Dante Moretti's name carries weight in this city. The wrong kind of weight. I know what he is. Do you? Do you really understand what you're getting into?" "Probably not completely. But Karen, he's not..." I struggled for words. "He's good to his nephew. He's good to my son. He's been nothing but respectful to me. That's what concerns me." She pulled out a folder from her desk drawer. 2 years ago, we had a nurse who got involved with someone in Moretti's organization. A lower-level guy, not Dante himself. It ended badly. She was caught in the middle of a dispute between families. She survived, but barely, and she had to leave Chicago completely. Ice flooded my veins. "You're trying to scare me." "I'm trying to protect you. Emma, you're one of our best nurses. You're kind, dedicated, and your patients love you. But more than that, you're a mother. You have Liam to think about." "I am thinking about Liam. Dante has gone out of his way to make sure we're safe." "Safe from what, Emma? What dangers exist now that didn't exist a month ago?" I didn't have an answer for that. Or rather, I had an answer I didn't want to voice. Karen's expression softened. "I'm not telling you to end it. That's your choice. But I am telling you to be careful. And I'm telling you that if things ever go wrong, if you ever need help, this hospital will support you. Okay?" Okay, I whispered. Thank you. I left her, office feeling shaken. Karen was right. I was diving into something I didn't fully understand. But the thought of walking away from Dante, from what we were building, felt impossible. That night, alone in the break room at 2 a.m., I texted him. Are you awake? His response came immediately. Always. What's wrong? My supervisor warned me about you today, about us. What did she say? That I don't know what I'm getting into. That your world is dangerous. That I have Liam to think about. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, she's right. I stared at my phone, something cold settling in my chest. Emma, everything she said is true. My world is dangerous. You don't fully know what you're getting into. And you absolutely should think about Liam first, always. So what are you saying? I'm saying that if you want to walk away, I'll understand. I'll make sure you and Liam stay protected regardless. No strings, no pressure, just safety. And if I don't want to walk away, then I'm saying I'll spend every day proving I'm worth the risk you're taking, that I'll guard you and Liam with my life, that I'll never take your trust for granted. My eyes stung with tears I refused to let fall in the middle of the hospital break room. Saturday still happening? If you want it to. I want it to. Then I'll see you Saturday, Emma. Get some rest. Dante, yes? Thank you for not lying to me, for not pretending this is simple. I'll never lie to you. That's a promise. I held that promise close for the rest of my shift. Saturday morning arrived bright and cold, the kind of November day that warned of the brutal winter ahead. Liam was up early again, bouncing with excitement. Is today the day? Are they coming? Can we go to the park after? Yes, and maybe if the weather holds. I poured him juice, smiling at his enthusiasm. But remember, Uncle Dante and I are going out tonight after you guys play. Grandma's coming to stay with you. I know. You have a date, you told me. Like 100 times. He grinned. Are you nervous? A little. Don't be. Uncle Dante really likes you, Nico told me. Oh, he did? Yeah. He said Uncle Dante talks about you all the time, and that he smiles at his phone when you text him. Nico thinks it's funny because Uncle Dante never used to smile. My heart did something complicated. Well, Uncle Dante makes me smile too. Good. That's how it's supposed to work. Sometimes I forgot my son was only 6. At 11 sharp, the now familiar black SUV pulled up. But this time, when I opened the door, Dante wasn't alone. Beside him stood a woman I'd seen in photos at his house, elegant, sharp-eyed, with the same dark hair and commanding presence. She looked at me with frank assessment. Emma, Dante said, his hand finding the small of my back in a gesture that felt natural now. This is Sofia Vitale, my sister-in-law, Nico's mother. My brain short-circuited. But I thought the accident. Different sister-in-law. Sophia, said with a slight smile. Her accent was more pronounced than Dante's. Dante's younger brother's wife. I've heard a lot about you, Emma Hayes. All good things, I hope. Good enough that I wanted to meet the woman who made my nephew laugh again. She extended her hand, and her grip was firm. Thank you for that. Nico appeared, dragging Liam by the hand. Come on, we have to show you the new Lego set Uncle Dante bought. The boys disappeared into Liam's room, leaving the 3 of us in the small living room. I hope you don't mind, Dante said. Sophia wanted to meet you before. He stopped himself. Before what? I asked. Sophia's expression was unreadable. Before things get more serious. Dante doesn't bring people into our world lightly. The fact that you're here, that he's protective of you, means you matter. And if you matter to him, you matter to our family. That sounds ominous. It's not meant to be. She settled onto my couch with the grace of someone used to much. Nicer furniture, but polite enough not to show it. Emma, I'm going to be direct because that's who I am. Dante has been alone for a long time. By choice. He built walls after our sister Maria died because grief does that. It makes you want to protect yourself from ever feeling that much pain again. I glanced at Dante, who was watching Sophia with a mixture of resignation and affection. But Nico changed that, Sophia continued. Suddenly Dante had someone who needed him to be present, to feel, to engage with the world. And then you appeared, and something shifted in him. He's lighter now, more human. I don't know if I can take credit for that. You can. Trust me. Sophia leaned forward slightly. But Emma, our world comes with complications. Dante has told you some of it, I'm sure. But there are things you need to understand. Rules. Expectations. Sophia. Dante's voice held a warning. She needs to know. Sophia's gaze returned to me. If you're going to be part of Dante's life, you're going to be part of our family. That means protection, yes. But it also means discretion, loyalty. Understanding that sometimes Dante will have to do things you won't like and can't ask about. I understand that. Do you? Because it's one thing to intellectually accept it and another to live it. To watch the man you care about leave in the middle of the night and not know if he's coming back. To smile at people who might be his enemies while pretending everything is fine. To raise children in a world where security isn't paranoia. It's necessity. Her words hung heavy in the air. I don't know if I can do all that, I admitted. I'm still figuring out what this is. But Sophia, I'm not naive. I know what Dante is, and I'm choosing to be here anyway. Something like approval flickered in her eyes. Good, then we understand each other. Sophia, Dante said again, this time with more force. Enough. I'm protecting our family, Dante. That includes protecting you from making decisions you'll regret. Emma is not a decision I'll regret. The certainty in his voice made my breath catch. Sophia studied us both, then nodded slowly. All right, I'll trust your judgment. She stood. Emma, it was lovely to meet you. I hope we'll see each other again soon. Under less interrogatory circumstances. I'd like that. After she left, Dante ran a hand through his hair. I apologize for that. Sophia is protective. She loves you. I get it. She scared you. A little. But she also made me think. I moved closer to him. Dante, are we moving too fast? Is this? He kissed me, cutting off my doubts with the pressure of his lips. When he pulled back, his eyes were intense. Emma, I don't know what the right speed is. I've never done this before, not like this. But I know that when I'm with you, everything feels right, in a way nothing has in years. So if that's too fast, I'll slow down. But I won't stop. I don't want you to stop. Good. He kissed me again, softer this time. Because I have plans for tonight that involve showing you exactly how serious I am about this. That sounds promising. You have no idea. The afternoon passed in a blur of Legos and laughter. Dante and I made sandwiches while the boys played, falling into the easy rhythm we'd developed. He told me about Nico's progress in school, about the specialized tutor they'd hired. I told him about a particularly difficult case at the hospital, and he listened with the same intense focus he gave everything. Around 4, my mother arrived to stay with Liam. She took one look at Dante, and I saw the moment she connected the dots. You must be the date, she said, extending her hand. I'm Catherine, Emma's mother. Dante Moretti. It's a pleasure to meet you, ma'am. Ma'am. I like him already. She winked at me. You two go have fun. Liam and I will be fine. Nico left with a promise to come back next week. Liam hugged me goodbye, whispering, Have fun with your boyfriend. Mom, he's not... But Liam was already racing back to show my mother his dinosaur collection. So, Dante said as we walked to his car, your son thinks I'm your boyfriend. Apparently. How do you feel about that? I thought about Sophia's warnings, Karen's concerns, the very real dangers of getting involved with someone like Dante. Then I thought about the way he looked at me like I was precious. The way he made Nico feel safe. The way my own heart raced every time he was near. I feel like maybe he's not wrong. Dante's smile could have lit up the entire city. Good answer. The restaurant was different from Wednesday's Michelin-starred elegance, a small Italian place tucked into a side street. Family-owned and warm. Dante was greeted by name, embraced by an elderly woman who scolded him in rapid Italian for not visiting more often. This is Nonna Rosa, Dante explained, his arm around my waist. She's known me since I was Nico's age. Nonna, questo è Emma. Nonna Rosa's sharp eyes assessed me, then she smiled. Bella. Very Bella. You bring her here. To meet me. This is serious, Dante? Very serious, Nonna. She patted his cheek, then mine. Good. You make him smile. I see it. Sit. Sit. I bring you the good food, not the menu food. The real food. We were led to a private table in the back, and within minutes, dishes began appearing. Food that smelled like heaven and tasted even better. This place is amazing, I said around a bite of the best pasta I'd ever tasted. My mother used to bring me here. Before she died. Dante's expression was soft with memory. Nonna Rosa taught her how to make carbonara. That's what you're eating. It's incredible. Nonna says food is love. If you can't say the words, you cook them instead. Is that what you're doing? Feeding me love? His eyes met mine. Maybe. Is it working? Dante, everything you do works. It's actually a little unfair. He laughed, reaching across the table for my hand. Emma, I need to tell you something. The seriousness in his tone made my stomach tighten. Okay. There's a situation. Nothing immediate, nothing dangerous, but something I need to handle this week. I might be unavailable for a few days. Unavailable how? I can't give you details. That's part of what Sophia meant earlier about discretion, but I need you to know that Marcus and my other men will still be watching your building. You'll still be protected. You just might not hear from me as much as usual. Fear crept up my spine. Is this dangerous? What you're doing? Everything I do carries some risk. But Emma, I've been doing this for over a decade. I know how to stay safe. That's not reassuring. I know. His thumb traced circles on my palm. But I'm telling you because I promised honesty, and because I need you to trust that I'll come back. What if you don't? The question hung between us, sharp and real. If something happens to me, Dante said quietly, Vincent, my second, will make sure. You and Liam are taken care of. Financially, security-wise, everything. It's already arranged. Dante, let me finish. I've also made arrangements for Nico. If something happens to me, Sophia and her husband will take him. But Emma, I want you to stay in his life. You've become important to him. Will you promise me that? Tears pricked my eyes. You're talking like you're not coming back. I'm talking like a man who understands risk, who wants the people he cares about protected regardless of what happens. His eyes held mine. Emma, I'm coming back. But I need you to know that if I don't, you're not alone. You're family now. My family takes care of its own. I don't want your money or your protection if you're not here. I know. That's why I'm going to make damn sure I come back. The rest of dinner was quieter, weighted with everything unsaid. After, Dante drove me home the long way, pointing out places from his childhood. The bakery where his mother bought bread every Sunday. The corner where he'd gotten into his first fight. The church where his sister got married. I'm trying to show you who I am, he explained. Not just what I do, but who I am underneath it all. I see you, Dante. I have from the start. Outside my building, he walked me to the door again. This time there was no playful banter, just the weight of everything between us. When do you leave? I asked. For this situation? Tomorrow night. How long? 3 days. Maybe 4. 3 days felt like forever. Come here, Dante said, pulling me into his arms. I melted against him, feeling the solid warmth of his chest, the steady beat of his heart. I'm scared, I admitted into his shoulder. Me too. You're not supposed to admit that. I told you I don't lie to you. And Emma, I'm terrified. Not of what I have to do, but of losing this. Losing you. I pulled back to look at him. Then don't. Come back to me. Always, he promised. Then he kissed me with an intensity that stole my breath, his hands cupping my face like I was something precious. When we finally pulled apart, we were both shaking. Go inside, he said, his voice rough. Before I do something stupid like ask you to come home with me. Would that be stupid? Tonight it would be. When I take you home with me, Emma, I want all the time in the world, not a few stolen hours before I have to leave. The promise in those words sent heat flooding through me. 3 days, I said. 3 days, he confirmed. I'll text you when I can. And Emma, don't worry. I've survived worse than this. I watched him drive away, that familiar fear settling in my chest. 3 days. It might as well have been a lifetime. Day 1 without hearing from Dante was manageable. I knew he'd said he'd be busy. I focused on work, on Liam, on not checking my phone every 5 minutes. Day 2 was harder. Still no texts, no calls. I told myself this was normal, what he'd warned me about. By day 3, I was starting to panic. Mom, you're doing it again, Liam said at breakfast, staring at your phone like you're trying to make it ring with your brain. Sorry, baby. Is Uncle Dante okay? The question caught me off guard. Why would you ask that? Because you look scared. You only look scared when something's really wrong. God, my perceptive child. He's fine, just busy with work. What kind of work does he do? I froze. We'd somehow managed to avoid this question until now. It's complicated, Liam. Adult stuff. Is it bad stuff? Like in movies? No, I said firmly. Then, more honestly, I don't think so. But it's different from what most people do. Nico says his uncle protects people. Like a superhero, but for real. Out of the mouths of babes. Something like that. Yeah. Liam seemed satisfied with this answer and returned to his cereal. But I couldn't shake the fear that had taken root in my chest. That afternoon at work, Karen pulled me aside again. Emma, I need to tell you something. There was an incident last night. A shooting on the south side. 3 men dead, 2 in critical condition. The police are saying it's gang-related. My blood turned to ice. And one of the names being mentioned is Moretti. Not Dante specifically, but his organization. Emma, is he? I can't talk about this. My hands were shaking. Karen, I can't. Her expression was sympathetic. If you need time off, if you need anything, I need to work. Work keeps me sane. She nodded and let me go, but I felt her worried gaze follow me down the hallway. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at my phone, willing it to ring. At 2 a.m., it finally did. Dante? I answered before the second ring. Emma. His voice sounded tired but alive, gloriously alive. I'm sorry I couldn't call sooner. Are you okay? I heard about there was news. I'm fine. Everything's fine. It's handled. Handled. What does that mean? It means the threat is neutralized. The problem is solved, and I'm coming home. Relief flooded through me so powerfully I had to sit down. When? Tomorrow. Can I see you? I know it's short notice, and if you're working, I'll call out. Emma, you don't have to. Dante, I need to see you. I need to see with my own eyes that you're okay. So yes, I'm calling out. Silence on the line then. Okay. Tomorrow. I'll text you the address. Not your house? Somewhere else. Somewhere just ours. After we hung up, I lay back down. My heart still racing, but for a different reason now. He was alive. He was coming back. Everything else, we'd figure out. The address Dante texted me the next day was for a building in River North, expensive, modern, exactly the kind of place I'd never be able to afford. The doorman greeted me by name, which should have been surprising but somehow wasn't anymore. Miss Hayes. Mr. Moretti is expecting you. Penthouse level. The elevator was all glass and chrome, and it rose so smoothly I barely felt the movement. When the doors opened directly into an apartment, I understood. This was Dante's place. His real home, not the estate where Nico lived with nannies and security. This was private. He stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, his back to me. Even from behind, I could see the tension in his shoulders. Dante? He turned, and my breath caught. There was a bruise along his jaw, a cut above his eyebrow that had been carefully cleaned and closed with butterfly bandages. His knuckles were wrapped. You said you were fine. My voice came out accusatory. I am fine. This is nothing. Nothing? You're hurt. Nothing. Emma, I've had worse from sparring sessions. These are superficial. He crossed to me, his hands gentle as they framed my face. I'm okay. I promise. I searched his eyes, looking for the lie. Found only exhaustion and relief. I was so scared, I whispered. I know. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. Just don't die. His laugh was rough. I'll do my best. I threw my arms around him, holding on probably too tight. He held me back just as fiercely, his face buried in my hair. I missed you, he murmured. 3 days felt like a month. Tell me what happened, as much as you can. He pulled back, guiding me to the couch. The apartment was beautiful, modern but warm, with art I recognized from Nico's descriptions. This was where Dante came when he wanted to be himself, not the boss. There was a rival family making moves, he said carefully, trying to take territory, hurt my people. I had to send a message that wouldn't be misunderstood. The shooting. Yes. Did you? I couldn't finish the question. I didn't pull any triggers myself, if that's what you're asking. But I gave the orders. Emma, I won't lie to you, people died because of decisions I made. I should have been horrified, repulsed. Instead, I just felt tired. How do you live with that? How do you live with that? By telling myself they would have killed my people if I'd done nothing. By knowing that in my world, mercy is often seen as weakness. And weakness gets people killed. His eyes were dark. I won't pretend to be a good man, Emma, but I'm a man who protects what's mine. And I'm yours? If you'll have me, after everything, after knowing what I do, what I am, if you can still look at me and not see a monster. I studied his face, the bruise, the cut, the exhaustion beneath the control. I thought about Sophia's warnings, Karen's concerns, the very real danger I was inviting into my life, and Liam's. Then I thought about the way Dante looked at Nico, the way he'd protected me without hesitation, the way he'd promised honesty even when the truth was ugly. I don't see a monster, I said quietly. I see a man trying to survive in a world I don't understand. A man who takes care of his family, who keeps his promises. Emma. But Dante, I need something from you. Anything. I need to know that you'll never lie to me, even when the truth is terrible, even when you think it will hurt me. I need honesty. Always. You have it. You've always had it. And I need to know that Liam is safe, that you're not bringing danger to my son. He's safer now than he was before. Emma, there are 4 men watching your building at any given time. Nico's security team includes Liam by default. Anyone who wanted to hurt your son would have to go through an army first. The certainty in his voice was both comforting and terrifying. Okay, I whispered. Okay? Okay, I'm in. All the way. Whatever this is, whatever it becomes, I'm in. The relief on his face was palpable. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. You haven't met my mother properly. She's going to have questions. He laughed, pulling me into his arms. I can handle mothers. It's their beautiful, terrifying daughters I'm not prepared for. Terrifying? Absolutely. Emma, you scare me more than any rival family ever could. Why? Because you make me want things I thought I'd never have. A real relationship. A future. Beyond just survival. A family. His lips brushed my forehead. You make me want to be better than I am. You're already better than you think, Dante. Then I'm a lucky man. We stayed like that for a long time, wrapped in each other, the city spread out below us. Eventually, Dante ordered food from the Italian place Nonna Rosa insisted on sending enough for an army, and we ate on his couch, my feet in his lap, talking about everything and nothing. Tell me about this place, I said, gesturing around. This apartment. I bought it 5 years ago, after Maria died. I needed somewhere that was just mine, somewhere I could think without the weight of the family business pressing down. Does anyone else come here? Vincent. Occasionally, Sophia. But Emma, you're the first woman I've brought here. I blinked. What? I don't bring my personal life to this space. It's separate. Sacred, almost. His hand found mine. But I wanted you here. Wanted you to see this part of me. I'm honored. I think you should be. His smile was soft. I'm letting you in, Emma. Completely. And that terrifies me. Good. Then we're equally terrified. That seems fair. Later, as the sun began to set over the city, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Dante pulled me against him on the couch. Emma, I need to ask you something. Okay. How do you feel about meeting the family? The full family. Not just Sophia. My heart skipped. That sounds serious. It is serious. I'm serious about you, about us. And in my world, that means introductions. Formal recognition that you're under my protection, that you matter. When? Next Sunday. Family dinner. It's a tradition every Sunday we gather. Food, conversation, checking in on everyone. He paused. It's also where business gets discussed sometimes. But Emma, if you come, you'll be there as my partner, not just some woman I'm seeing. Everyone will know you're important to me. That's a lot of pressure. I know. And if you're not ready, I'll do it. He pulled back to look at me. Are you sure? No, but I'm doing it anyway. I cupped his face, careful of his bruised jaw. Because you're right, this is serious. And I'd rather face your family than walk away from what we're building. You're incredible. You know that? So you keep telling me. He kissed me then, slow and deep. And I lost myself in the taste of him. The feel of his hands on my waist. The way he held me like I was precious. When we finally broke apart, both breathless, he rested his forehead against mine. Stay tonight, he whispered. Please. Just sleep beside me. I need to know you're real. I should get home to Liam. I already texted your mother. She said she'd keep him overnight, that you deserved a night off. His smile was sheepish. I might have been presumptuous. Very presumptuous, but I was smiling. Lucky for you, I'm too tired to be properly offended. So you'll stay? I'll stay. His bedroom was as beautifully appointed as the rest of the apartment, all dark wood and soft lighting. He loaned me a t-shirt that hung to my knees, and we climbed into bed together. I'd expected awkwardness, maybe tension. Instead, it felt natural. Right. Dante pulled me against him, my back to his chest, his arm wrapped around my waist. This okay? He murmured against my hair. Perfect. Good. Because I don't think I can let you go. I laced my fingers through his. Then don't. I fell asleep to the sound of his breathing, feeling safer than I had in days. In years, maybe. What I didn't know, what neither of us knew, was that across the city, someone was watching. Someone who'd seen me enter Dante's building. Someone who'd been waiting for exactly this confirmation. And they were already making plans. Sunday dinner at the Moretti family home was both exactly what I expected and nothing like I'd imagined. The estate where Nico lived was impressive. But the main family home was something else. Entirely a sprawling mansion in Kenilworth that looked like it belonged in a movie about old money and older secrets. Security was visible but discreet. Men in dark suits posted at intervals along the property. You're nervous, Dante said as we pulled through the gates. Liam and Nico chattering excitedly in the back seat about the swimming pool they'd been promised access to. I'm terrified. Don't be. They'll love you. You don't know that. I do, because I love you, and they trust my judgment. My heart stopped. What did you just say? He glanced at me, something vulnerable in his eyes. I said I love you. Is that okay? Is that Dante? You can't just drop that in the car on the way to family dinner. Why not? It's true. He reached over, taking my hand. Emma, I'm 40 years old. I've never said those words to anyone except family, but I'm saying them to you. I love you. How you care for Nico. How you're raising Liam. How you look at me like I'm both dangerous and safe. I love all of it. Tears stung my eyes. That's not fair. Life isn't fair, but this us feels like the universe apologizing for everything that came before. His thumb brushed my knuckles. You don't have to say it back. Not yet. Not until you're ready. I just needed you to know. Dante. We're here. He pulled to a stop in front of the mansion. Ready? No, but let's do this anyway. The front door opened before we reached it, and an elderly man in an impeccable suit greeted us. Mr. Moretti, Miss Hayes, welcome. The family is gathering in the West Salon. Inside was overwhelming marble floors, crystal chandeliers, art that probably belonged in museums. But what caught my attention was the noise. Laughter, conversation, children's voices. Life. Dante's hand found the small of my back, guiding me toward the sound. We entered a massive room where at least 20 people gathered, some sitting, some standing, all turning to look as we entered. Everyone, Dante's voice carried. Easily. This is Emma Hayes and her son Liam. Emma, this is the family. A woman who could only be Dante's aunt based on the facial resemblance came forward first. Emma, we've heard so much about you. I'm Francesca, Dante's aunt, and this brave young man must be Liam. She swept Liam into a hug like she'd known him for years. My son looked startled but pleased. Introductions blurred together: cousins, second cousins, Sophia's husband Antonio, various children whose names I'd never remember. But everyone was warm, welcoming, curious without being invasive. Boys, Francesca called. Why don't you take Liam to see the game room? I think there are some new video games he might enjoy. Nico eagerly led Liam away, leaving me alone with the adults. An older man, Vincent, I realized. Dante's second-in-command approached with 2 glasses of wine. "You must be Emma. I've heard quite a bit about you." "All good things. I hope." Enough good things that Dante nearly started a war when someone suggested you might be using him for money. His smile was sharp. "He's protective of you. That speaks volumes. He's protective of everyone he cares about. True. But with you, it's different. More personal." Vincent's gaze assessed me. "You're good for him. I can see it. He's lighter when he talks about you." Before I could respond, a bell chimed, and everyone began moving toward a massive dining room. The table could have seated 40, but tonight it held about 25, including children. Dante seated me beside him, his hand squeezing mine under the table. Dinner was chaos in the best way, multiple conversations happening simultaneously. Food passed, family style, children occasionally interjecting with random observations. Liam fit in seamlessly, laughing at jokes and asking questions. Halfway through the meal, Antonio Sofia's husband clinked his glass. "Dante, you want to make the announcement, or should I?" Dante shot him a look that could have melted steel, but Antonio just grinned. "Announcement?" I whispered. "I was going to do this privately," Dante murmured back. "But apparently that's not happening." He stood, and the table quieted immediately. "Family, I want to formally introduce Emma Hayes. She's not just someone I'm seeing. She's important to me, to Nico, to our family. And I'm asking you to accept her and her son Liam as one of us. To protect them as you would any Moretti." The weight of those words settled over the room. Francesca was the first to respond. "Of course. Welcome to the family, Emma." Others echoed the sentiment, raising glasses in toast. I felt tears prick my eyes at the unexpected acceptance. After dinner, while the children played and adults lingered over coffee, Sophia found me on the terrace. "That was quite a declaration," she said, joining me at the railing. "Dante doesn't make those lightly. I'm starting to understand that. Are you scared?" "Terrified." "Good. You should be." She smiled at my haughty expression. "I don't mean that unkindly. But Emma, our world is complicated, dangerous. There will be times when Dante has to choose between his family obligations and his personal desires. Times when being with him will cost you. I know. Do you? Because it's easy to say you understand when everything is good. But what about when it's not? When he comes home with worse than a bruised jaw? When his enemies try to use you to hurt him? Then I deal with it. Sophia, I'm not walking into this blind. I know what Dante is, what he does. And yes, it scares me. But walking away from him scares me more." She studied me for a long moment, then nodded. "Okay, then you'll need this." She handed me a card with a phone number. "What is this?" "My private line. If anything ever happens, if you're in danger, if you need help, if Dante is hurt and you don't know what to do, you call this number. Day or night, I'll answer. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Let's hope you never need it." She squeezed my shoulder. "But Emma, I'm glad he found you. Dante deserves happiness after everything he's lost." Later, as Dante drove us home, Liam asleep in the back seat, exhausted from playing, I stared out the window at the passing city lights. "That went well," Dante said quietly. "They're overwhelming in the best way." "Too overwhelming?" "No, just right, actually." I looked at him. "Dante, what you said at dinner, about me being important to you, I meant every word. I know, and I took a breath. I love you too." The car swerved slightly before he corrected. "Emma, I love you. I probably have for weeks but was too scared to admit it. But Dante, I love you. The dangerous parts and the tender parts. The man who orders hits, and the man who makes my son laugh. All of it." He pulled the car over abruptly, threw it in park, and kissed me with an intensity that stole my breath. When he pulled back, we were both shaking. "Say it again," he demanded. "I love you, Dante Moretti. Again. I love you. I'll never get tired of hearing that." He kissed me softer this time. "Emma, you've changed everything. You know that, right? You've changed everything for me too." We sat there for a long moment, holding each other in the darkened car, the city alive around us. What we didn't see was the camera flash from across the street, the photographer capturing this moment, the evidence being compiled, the storm that was coming. But that night, wrapped in each other and the promise of what we were building, we were happy. And for a little while longer, that was enough. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, Check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.